If you're a web developer or tester, you're probably very familiar with Cypress, a very popular and powerful test automation tool widely used to test web technologies and applications by spinning up web browsers and simulating user actions like clicking on buttons, filling out forms, or navigating through pages. Pretty simple, right? But what happens when the web applications that you want to test are deployed in Kubernetes? Things can get pretty complicated quickly, but they don't necessarily have to. And I'll show you how to simplify this entire process using Testkube. Hi everyone, welcome to Testkube's YouTube channel. Testkube is a Kubernetes-native testing framework that acts as an executor so that you can orchestrate, run, and visualize your tests and test results for the apps that you have running in Kubernetes. Testkube comes with the native support for Cypress, allowing you to easily manage all your test executions, access all of your logs pretty easily, but more importantly, visualize all the videos produced by Cypress from a single location. In this short tutorial, I'll show you how to get started with it, from installing it, creating your first Cypress test, and then running it with Testkube. Let's get started. First things first, we're going to download and install Testkube. For that, we're just going to navigate to testkube.io/download, and then you're going to select whichever operating system you're using. In my case, it's Mac, so I'm just going to copy brew install Testkube and then run it in my terminal. Now in my terminal, let's just paste the command that we just copied and run it. Now Testkube is installed, and by the way, this is assuming that you already have your cluster up and running. Mine is hosted locally using Minikube and Docker. And now what we're going to do is we need to initialize Testkube in our cluster. So to do that, we're just going to type Testkube init. And that is going to install all of the dependencies that we need to start running tests. Okay, so now that we've successfully installed and initialized Testkube, we are going to launch our UI. You have two options here. You can run everything from the command line tool, or you can launch the dashboard. In this case, I'm just gonna launch the dashboard so that everything is visual. So for that, we're gonna type Testkube dashboard, and this will launch Testkube UI in our browser. Typing in Testkube dashboard immediately launched our UI. From here, we can start creating our tests. Now, we already have a Cypress test. Let's assume that you already have your Cypress test, so we're just going to import it. There's different ways that you can do this. You can do this directly from a Git file, Git repo, or even from a local file. In my case, I already have a project with a Cypress test that we're going to import from my Git directory. Okay, so here's a test that I've created and already uploaded to a Git repo. So the thing that it does is it navigates to testkube.io, then it clicks on the test artifact section. And once it clicks on the test artifact section, it actually checks that the copy is correct on the website. So that is already uploaded on my Git repo. So let's import it. So we're gonna click here on add a new test. Okay, so now we're gonna create our first test, and we're going to name it first Cypress example. And then for type, we're going to select Cypress. And then as our test source, like I said before, we're going to import it from my Git directory. So we're going to select Git directory. And over here on the URI, we're going to paste the URI that I just copied from my repo. And then as branch, we're going to select the main branch. And what Testkube is going to do, Testkube is going to scan your repo, my repo in this case, for test files. So it will actually go in and get all the spec files from our Cypress test and run them. Okay, so now we're ready to create it. Right here from this view from our UI, you can immediately run it or check the command so that you can run it right from our terminal. I'm gonna run it directly from here, and that's our first execution. And actually you can see the logs live. So let's see how our run is doing. And that's it. As you can see, all of our tests passed, and a really cool thing, like I showed you, is that you can see the logs actually live from within your cluster. So you don't have to navigate through any pods. Everything can be visualized from the UI as it goes. Over here on the left too, you can see the duration of the execution, what's the pass-fail ratio when you run it more times, and you can actually run it simultaneously. So all of these are running in parallel. But how can we actually tell that our test did pass? Like, how can we actually tell that it did do what it was supposed to do? Well, right here from the UI, you can also access the test artifacts, which are all of the scraping or the video files that Cypress produced when running the test. So we can navigate directly to artifacts, and over here you'll find the video that was produced when Cypress ran the test. Let's take a look at the video and see if everything went the way it should go. Okay, so we officially opened the video, and if we press play, you can actually see the recording that Cypress did. So it starts by visiting testkube.io, it's loaded, and then it clicks on test artifacts and actually checks that the copy did change when we clicked on that section. And that's it on how simple it is to run end-to-end testing with Cypress using Testkube. You can also run your tests from your CI/CD pipelines using Testkube's command line interface, or triggering them manually. Set it up with GitHub Actions or Argo CD depending on your workflow. And we also have support out of the box for other tools, not only Cypress, but Postman, K6, CURL, JMeter, Gradle, Maven, and it's also pretty easy to create your own if we don't currently support a tool that you need. We're fully open source, so we're always open to contributions and feedback. We're always looking for it. So please check us out on GitHub, testkube.io, or on social media. We can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.